Before we get started, make sure to stay tuned until the end of the video because I am giving away 2 Oncidium orchids. The first one is this Miltonia Kismet and it has very big striking flowers. And the second one is this Oncidium Sharry baby, which is also known as the chocolate orchid. So make sure to like this video and hit subscribe and find out later how to win one of these 2 orchid giveaways. Hello everyone! Today we are gonna talk about Oncidium orchids. The Oncidium family of orchids is very large and includes many flower varieties. Oncidiums are one of the more popular types of orchids because the flowers are very striking and they come in all shades of colors and they usually last about a month, so they're perfect for gifts. Some types of Oncidiums are very fragrant, and actually one of the most popular orchids in the market is the Oncidium Sharry baby, which is also known as the chocolate orchid because it gives off a milk chocolate scent. Because Oncidium covers a huge variety of subcategories, some of the names can become confusing. They can also be known as Wilsonara, Tolumna, Odontoglossum, Brasidium, Bellara, and many more. In this video, I will teach you the defining characteristics of Oncidiums so that even though they go under a different name, you would still know them and identify them as Oncidiums, and you can take care of them properly. Even though intergeneric Oncidium orchids go under a lot of different names like Wilsonara, Bellara, or Brasidium, the care and propagation for them is pretty much the same. They also have distinct characteristics that sets them apart from other orchids. Oncidiums are sympodial orchids, which means they have multiple root systems. A sympodial orchid has a stem that grows pretty close to the ground, and this is called a rhizome. Once the pseudobulb is mature, another pseudobulb will sprout out from the bottom. Each pseudobulb will grow its own flower spike and root system, and that is why they are called sympodial orchids. With this information, you can now easily tell them apart from monopodial orchids like Phalaenopsis and Vandas. As with the term mono, which means only one, monopodial orchids' leaves and flowers grow from a single stem and they share one root system. You can further differentiate Oncidiums from other sympodial orchids by looking at the plant's characteristics. The leaves of the Cattleya plant will be more firm and rigid compared to Oncidium orchids. The pseudobulbs is also longer and thinner compared to Oncidiums. You can tell Oncidiums apart from Dendrobiums because Dendrobiums will have very long, elongated pseudobulbs, which is also known as canes. Oncidiums, on the other hand, will look very different from the other common types of orchids. Oncidiums will have rounded and very plump pseudobulbs, and this is used as storage of nutrients and water. Because of the pseudobulbs, they can go for an extended amount of time without water. The leaves grow from the top of the pseudobulbs, and they are a lot narrower and a lot thinner than the other common types of orchids. So now we are gonna talk about how to divide Oncidium orchids. Dividing Oncidium orchids is pretty straightforward because, like I said, they are sympodial orchids and each bulb will have its own root system. This means that each mature pseudobulbs will have the potential to put out new growths. Before you divide the orchid, make sure you have at least 3 mature pseudobulbs each division. Make sure you use sterile scissors when you do the cut to the rhizome because this will prevent bacterial infection and bacterial transfer. If some of the roots are damaged during division or if you have to cut the roots to be able to make the divide, it is perfectly safe to do as long as there's still roots attached to the bulbs. They will grow more roots when they are potted into their new pot. Now you can take some of the old medium off, and if you see any dead roots, you can go ahead and cut them. So now we are gonna talk about how to repot Oncidium orchids. As a general rule, Oncidiums should be repotted every 2 years, or in the case of this plant, when the roots have overgrown their pot. Repotting too often and prematurely can also harm the plant, so make sure that the roots are fully developed and established before repotting again. Carefully take off the old medium from the roots, and you can also trim off any dead roots that you find. For this plant, the roots look very healthy and there's not a lot of dead roots, so there's not much to trim. For Oncidiums, I like to use a mix of sphagnum moss and orchid bark in 50-50 ratio. The ratio will depend on your growing conditions. If you're the type of grower who waters more often, you would want more orchid bark because orchid bark dries off easily. If you water less often, then you would want more moss because moss retains moisture. Here I am using a 6-inch pot. You should choose a pot that will allow your Oncidium to grow for 2 years before needing to be repotted again. Make sure there is room for the new pseudobulbs to grow by placing the new growths in the middle of the pot. The back bulbs or the old pseudobulbs will most likely not produce any more new growths, so they don't need as much room. You can use as much medium as needed, but you have to make sure that the bulbs are not buried and that it's just sitting right on top of the medium. I like to hang my Oncidiums, so I am placing a hanger on this pot. Oncidiums like a lot of air movement because it prevents the growth of fungus and bacteria, which Oncidiums are very prone to. Place your Oncidium in an area which gets bright filtered sun and water 2 to 3 times per week. So now that you know how to take care of Oncidiums, it is now time to add an Oncidium orchid to your collection. This orchid giveaway is open only to USA viewers because I cannot ship orchids internationally. To enter the orchid giveaway, hit like on this video and subscribe to my channel, and then comment below on which of the orchid giveaways you would like to enter. The first one is the Miltonia Kismet, and then the second one is the Oncidium Sharry baby. You can enter either one of the orchid giveaways or you can enter both. That is gonna be up to you, but only one entry per subscriber. We are gonna draw the lucky winners 1 month from now, which is gonna be on February 6th. If you have any questions about Oncidiums or the orchid giveaway, just comment below. And so good luck to all the entries, and I'll see you next time. Bye!